Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 506 of the Dead Robot Society. I'm Paul E. Cooley, and joining me today, as always, Mr. Terry Kiss My Ass Mixon. How you doing, Terry?
I'm going to get that monogrammed.
Terry Kiss My Ass Mixon?
Yes.
I think that will look badass on a t-shirt. I think I would look just absolutely badass on a t-shirt.
I'm totally doing that.
And it would be so appropriate because I just know in the evening when the kids are coming home, you're sitting outside in your rocking chair with a squirt gun or whatever going, get off my lawn, you damn kids.
I need a bigger porch for that.
A bigger porch? Huh.
I got one of those houses that's like only got like 1.5 feet, 2 feet at max in the front. Just not enough space.
Well, see, that's all the more reason for you to move your chair out on the lawn and shoot at them from there.
That would be true. I just think I need to go ahead and move out to the country where I don't even have kids in my neighborhood because I have no neighborhood.
No neighborhood. You're so misanthropic. It's ridiculous. So what's going on with you besides yelling at teenagers?
I finished doing one of the short stories that I need to submit. I'm going through the novel because I finished the next Empire book as well, and I'm making the final pass through it. Things are productive. Things are moving along. I've got to get all of those and a couple of other short stories written before the 10th of next month, because that's when I start the next co-written project with Glenn.
Tito. So you're busy.
I'm busy, but I'm actually accomplishing things. So this is good. I'm thinking the next Empire book will be out about the 24th, 25th of this month.
Oh, nice.
That's what my bank account says. It says, oh, that'll be nice.
So it should be out by the time this episode airs, is what you're telling me.
Pretty close. I think that may be a week further than that. I'm not sure. I'm not looking at the calendar right now.
Yeah,
this is the 12th.
Yeah. Something like
so
that.
Yeah, it'll be out in about 2 weeks from when we're speaking right now. So,
Okay. Well, I'll be good. That'll be good. Is that all you got to report?
The audio version for the Terra Gambit is out.
Yay! Another audiobook.
I got to keep putting out audiobooks if I'm going to catch up with that Paul E. Cooley guy.
Well, Paul E. Cooley wishes he could put out another audiobook.
I believe the answer is, you can do it!
The answer is, I still don't have artwork.
Wait a second. It's been like 3 weeks. How long is this dude on vacation?
I don't know.
I think you're being lied to, man. I don't think he's on vacation.
I am unhappy to say the least. Anyway, I still don't have artwork. I'm hoping to get it this week, which will be awesome because my bank account would thank me profusely. So instead of miring myself in depression about that, I've been writing my ass off. Let's see. Quantum personality disorder, I think, crossed the 22K mark. I think, maybe. TB4 is over 54K now. And every day I seem to be chinking away more at its armor. I haven't gotten any writing written today or done today, but I'll fix that after the show. But it's moving. I think I'm still on track to finish this draft of the book by the end of the month, assuming I don't get sidetracked by something massive. But getting a couple thousand words a day on it and then switching over to another project. Just to keep me fresh. I think one day I had 5,000 words. I had like 2,200 on TB4, and then I wrote probably another 2,000 on quantum personality disorder. So I've had some pretty good days, and I'm still working on a short story for Chris Kennedy's anthology. So there you go.
I figured you'd had that sucker done. It's only like 8,000 words.
I restarted it, trying something different, and I think I'm just going to have to go back to my original idea and say fuck it. And basically, it's like, all right, I wrote this story. If he doesn't want it, then he doesn't want it. So not a big deal. So I just got to go back and finish the stupid thing. But it's just another thing on my to-do list. But right now, it's just novels we're rocking along. That's kind of what I'm focused on.
There you go.
So apart from that, the usual insanity with dogs, cats living together, etc.
Well, this is totally true for you.
Yes, it is. And of course, there's all these memes that Terry's put up with cats sleeping all over one another and everything else. So, yeah, his house is a big den of iniquity, a big den of feline iniquity.
It's totally true. Cannot argue that one little bit.
Well, Terry, I remember you're a great big fan of Firefly.
We need to discuss the, St. John's wort or something, to help you with that memory. I have no idea if St. John's wort is actually for memory.
I have no idea. Is that the ginkgo below? I don't know what it is. Anyway, bottom line is I remember you did not care for Firefly very much.
It didn't strike a nerve with me. So it just didn't pop. I got nothing against it. It just didn't strike me as all that great. It was mediocre.
This can't do anything with you. Anyway, the reason why I bring up Firefly is because the author we're interviewing today wrote something very much in that vein, and it's absolutely awesome.
And I'm sure it's excellent.
Yeah, you're sure.
No, I'm being completely honest here. Just because I don't like something certainly doesn't mean that everyone doesn't like something.
There you go. Anyway, we are now going to go talk to our wonderful guest.
And to be clear, I haven't read her book, so I'm not referring to her book when I say just because I don't like something. I'm talking about Firefly. I don't want to be insulting.
Caveats.
I got to be clear. This could be interpreted more than one way. I've got to be clear.
This is true. And unfortunately, I'm the one that's going to have to suffer through the emails. So, yeah. Stop making blanket generalizations, please.
I think that it's something that all the listeners should pay attention to here, because even though he talks a good game, secretly, Paul Cooley really hated Firefly. You should tell him about it.
Oh, God. With that in mind, let's go talk to our guest before Terry causes more problems for me. And folks, today we have our special guest that we thought we'd bring on. She's been on the show before about seems like a billion years ago, but we're very happy to have her back. And I'd like to invite you to meet Miss Starla Huchton.
Hello.
And Starla, as I came across Starla on Twitter, good God, back in 2008, 9?
Yeah, something like that. 2008, 2009, yeah.
Yeah, so we've been circling around each other ever since then with Balticons and everything else. So it's been a long time. But you've been writing a lot of books.
Yeah, a lot of books. What am I up to? 22? 23? I lost track, sorry. Yeah, about that. 20 something. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Why haven't you written 23 books, Paul?
Probably because I make it too difficult for myself. I get in my own way. That's the problem. That's why I don't write 23 books a year, like you.
I don't write 23 books a year. Don't look at me.
But that's your goal.
Yeah, that's almost a decade's worth of work. So,
Yeah, no kidding. But still. Anyway, let's see. Okay. I came across you in the podcasting world way back when you were podcasting Dreamer's Thread.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yes.
And I was also a guest voice on that.
You were one of my cast members.
Yeah, that's terrifying. So since then, you've written a wide variety of books. In fact, your latest is sci-fi.
Yes, it is a space opera, space western kind of thing. So, yeah.
Okay, so I guess we should talk about what book we're talking about. Would you like to give us the title?
Yes, my new one, Make Bart the Arrows. And I'm describing it as Firefly meets Silverado. So
I was wondering about where that was going because I listened to the first 3 minutes of it. I thought I was in a Western. And then somebody said something science fiction and went, oh, wait. I know where this is going. And sure enough.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm listening to the audiobook, which you were kind enough to give me a promo code for. But I guess I'm at the 3 or 4 hour mark. The voice acting is absolutely amazing.
Thank you. I'm so excited about this. I was super nervous. There's a lot of different accents in this one.
Yes.
So yeah, that's always a challenge, and sometimes you forget who you are.
Yeah, that could be a problem. Sometimes you forget who the actual narrator is. Too busy dealing with all the different voices, and you find yourself talking in one. Yeah, cut, retake. Yeah, but the feel I got from it was exactly that. I think if anybody loves Firefly, they're just going to absolutely adore this book.
Well, that's kind of the point, and I'm so glad that that's coming across like in reviews and stuff. Like that just makes me happy.
Because the first time you meet the character, I mean, it's all first person.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think actually was a really good choice for this story this far, because we get a sense of who these folks are as distilled through the main character. And it works so well because she is ignorant about some things, and the other characters have to kind of fill her in or hold her back, and sometimes she doesn't want that. And it causes friction, but it's a family essentially of folks from different lives, and is all on the same ship doing what they do, which is essentially what?
They are, let's see, the ship is part of T&M Shipping and Retrieval, I think. So it's basically they go and they get contracts for picking up goods that were stolen, or, stuff just needs to be shuttled from one planet to another. So that's what they do as their job. And Lena, who the story is told through, is very blue collar. And like you said, she's not... It was a very interesting challenge trying to write science fiction through the eyes of someone who is like not a scientist, not a specialist anyway. She does the grunt work, which was actually really fun because that gives me the ability to fill in places. It's a way to tell about the tech without like getting too techy, because she doesn't care. It just works, and that's fine.
Right.
That's also a means for me to move along the story, but also not have to get bogged down in those details. And because I'm, not an astrophysicist, so I'm a little lazy, but it's fun. And the character itself was probably more formative in telling the story than anything else, as this book came to be. So.
Well, I'm really enjoying the hell out of this one. So my question to you is, what other genres do you write in?
Let's see. I say in my bio that I'm greedy and I like all the genres. Let's see. TDT was very much like fantasy, but not high fantasy. I guess you'd call it contemporary fantasy. I've done a lot of romance stuff. So I've done science fiction romance. I've done high fantasy romance. I've done contemporary romance, YA fiction. I did a suspense, an adult suspense. See, I know I'm forgetting books, but you lose track after a while. Oh, I did like a Hallmark Christmas romance type of thing, and that one was so much fun. So much fun on that one. But so I dabble in everything because I get bored and I don't like being put in a box. It's like, oh, we'll do this today. We'll do that today. It's like, so this time I'm writing space opera, which was a completely new and different thing for me, because it's one of those, I always say, I can't anymore say that never will I ever write X, because I prove myself wrong all the time. So I stopped saying that.
So genre greedy.
Yes. I like all of them.
Do you have a favorite of them as a writer?
Your current favorite is always your newest, right?
Lies.
Well, they're all kind of special to me for various reasons. Like the Evolution series by Superhero Romances. Those were that was such a unique experience. I just came across it was on my Facebook memories. I wrote the first one in 23 days because it was just this much of an idea frenzy. Like, I have to get all of this down right now. And there was some kind of feeling that I had while writing this book. And it's like, that's what I always strive for. It's like, I want to feel that way writing a book as I did writing that one. And it's like, you can't bottle lightning. That one experience was, what I got. And I keep trying to repeat that. And they're all just different.
What do you think, Terry?
I'm trying to imagine. I'd like to write in a lot of genres as well. I just can never seem to find the time. My project mind says, no, I really should go write this other thing. And so I've got this to-do list of novels in various genres that I intend to write that may or may not ever happen. When I wrote the post-apocalyptic novel I wrote, it was like that. I wrote it in 23 days and it just flew out of my head.
Yep.
And then I haven't gone back to it in 2 years. Damn it.
I think we both got that problem with certain series that have been lagging for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any series that you do that are your favorite ones?
Well, the Evolution series, I absolutely loved doing that. It was a trilogy, and I finished that trilogy. I put out another book that was kind of like a follow-on to that. And that was intended to be a trilogy, and I haven't done the other two that were intended for the Chronicles of Isle. But yeah, so I've got some projects that are, still hanging. But after being in a world for so long, I need a break. And sometimes I go back to it. Sometimes I don't. The important thing for me is that I have fun with whatever project I am currently working on, because I feel like that really translates into the writing. Because I know that there's certain projects I've put out that is just like, I just want to get this done and out of the way. And it does come across in the prose, I think. So I try to make sure that I'm ready to be working on a project so it doesn't lose anything in the writing of it.
So then do you outline or pants?
Kind of a little bit of both. I call it organic plotting. I start with a basic idea, and I start and I go until, I kind of get stuck, and then I make a list of things that I would like to accomplish for the remainder of the story. And then I kind of mark off as I go down the list, and sometimes the list changes, sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, it varies a lot from book to book how much planning I have to do, how much plotting. Yeah, like with Make Bright the Arrows, I knew the end point and the start point, and I knew a few little like there's a quirk when one of the characters has you've probably heard it already, Lila's little thing that she does. It's a little odd, but that was actually the whole. That's the spark that set off the entire book. It's like, oh, that would be super cool. so yeah, it just kind of took off from there, and yeah, so I knew where I was going to start and where I wanted to end, and everything in between kind of filled itself in.
I start off that way sometimes, but I get just about every book. I'll get halfway through it, and the end point no longer possible. The characters have wandered so far afield that I have to reimagine where I'm going from there.
Yeah, I've been there a lot of times that I know kind of where I want them to end up. I don't so much care how they get there. It's just that's where they got to go. And if they want to get that story written, then they're going to go get there sooner or later. So they don't have a choice. It's like putting a gun to their head in a metaphorical written word type of way.
Oh, come on. Forcing characters at gunpoint to do something is always fun.
Yeah, especially in a Make Bright the Arrows. There's plenty of gunplay in that one. So I don't think I've ever written a book with quite so much violence and fighting, and which, I mean, it's probably nothing compared to, some of your books there, Paul, but
I don't know about that. Yeah, well, okay. Probably body count wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what you said that were you afraid to write space opera, or was it just something that you were just kind of like, I have no interest in this and I'm never doing it?
Well, so it's one of those, like, I don't read a lot of it because it tends to get too bogged down in the tech and not focus enough on like the characters and the story and moving things along. So I don't read a whole lot of it. And I think there was some hesitation on my part. Because, like, who am I to be writing this stuff when, I don't know the first thing about how these books look, but I really enjoy things like, Firefly and Star Wars, and we're in Star Trek, where the tech stuff is not necessarily so important. And so I wanted to create the same kind of feel in Make Bright the Arrows as I did, as I get, from watching those things. Because I have no idea how the engines work in Firefly. They just do. So
I'm pretty sure no one perfectly well for Yeah, that works very well for space opera. You just have to know what the effect of something is, not how it actually works. And it doesn't even have to be scientifically possible. Not really.
So I do this writer's retreat every year. And I don't know if Brian Lincoln's ever been on the show, but I had him and Lauren Harris in the car, and Brian was in the back seat reading all this like quantum physics stuff, and was telling us about a project he was working on, that had all the scientific elements, and I was just like, my head was just swimming from all of the information that he was trying to piece together to figure out how this would all be possible. And it's like, I don't want to do that. So yeah, in part, like, the glossing over all of that stuff is me like, I just want to tell a fun story and not necessarily get bogged down in the advanced mathematics of how, FTL would work.
There's a lot of science fiction where they don't even worry about how the FTL process works. I mean, you hop in your ship, you arrive wherever you're going. Mm-hmm. And the whole journey is just left right out because it doesn't matter.
And if something breaks, you don't go into massive detail. You just give a generalization and move the hell on.
That's another great thing about telling the story from Lena's point of view, is because she's not the mechanic. The twins are the mechanics, and they fool with everything. And they talk about some stuff, but it's very glossed over. And that they know what they're doing, but aside from that, Lena doesn't care.
I would like to write a book about like that at some point, where the character is just completely unaware of how anything works. Literally, just somebody who walks off the street and says, "I plug stuff in and it does this."
Yeah,
I move a mouse and click and it does this, and that's pretty much all they know.
You just need to write Billy Bob versus the Black.
So now you've written your first space opera Western. What do you think of the genre?
It was so much fun. And what's great is that the people that are listening to this, because the audiobook's out now, the ebook hasn't come out quite yet. That's like in a week. But the reviews that have been coming in for
when the show starts.
Yeah, well, good. So it's out now. But the reviews from people have been like, this is such a fun story. And overall, that was the feel of it. And that was exactly what I was going for. So, aside from getting to tell a fun story and being super happy with it, I'm also seeing that translated to the people that are getting to experience the story too. So I think it was great, and I'm working on the second one, so I didn't hate it.
Yay!
It's always a good thing. Yes. It's always troubling if you're not excited about the new book coming out. That's usually a bad sign.
Yeah. Or you're like Paul and you get halfway written and then you get sidetracked into another project and then another one and another one.
Yeah, let's not freaking go there. Let's not go into the trials and tribulations of my publishing career, Terry.
Oh, I have plenty of those projects too. So
yeah, I'm working on 4 books right now. That's me if I'm not insane yet.
Oh, I have about 12 works in progress in various stages of completion, and only 2 that I'm actively poking at the moment. So from a distance with a very long stick.
I'm getting more and more around to the fact that we are really bad, and we really should not forecast when a book is going to get done, because at any point in time, it'll get derailed by something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, even say coming fall 2014 or whatever it is, 2019. And it's like, oh, wait, I found this great opportunity to write for this other series or commission or whatever. And then you have to put that book off.
Yeah. Well, for a while I was doing that, and I was putting out a book every 2 months, and it was insane. There was one year I put out 6 books, and I will never, ever, ever do that again. Way too much. Fun at the time, sort of. about halfway through, I started flagging, but I know what you're saying. I don't put out like, like it took me a while to figure out when I was going to release Make Bright the Arrows, because people were asking me at Balticon. I was like, maybe this summer. So I don't give dates anymore. It's like, you get it when you get it.
Now, let's see. If I remember correctly, you do your own cover art?
I do.
You do your own cover art. Do you still do
Yes.
cover art for others?
I do.
All right. Do you still do editing for folks?
I have never done editing for folks.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you did editing.
No.
And you narrate your audiobooks.
I do. I do that for other people too now.
And I was about to say, and so now you're doing that professionally as well.
Yes. Yes. You can pay me to read words into a microphone.
So how are you juggling all of this exactly?
I kind of had that question come up like last week too. Really, it's about the amount of work that I get from whatever revenue stream. If I have, a lot of design work that needs to get done, I don't do as much recording or, writing. If I have a lot of recording to do, then, I don't do as much of the cover stuff or the writing anymore. It seems like writing is getting shuffled to, that's what I do in bed before I fall asleep, and I'm on my phone. So, yeah, it really depends on what work I have coming in at the time that's going to make me the most money.
So my hat's off to you. That's way more stuff than any person should be doing.
Well, I just like doing all of the things. It's like I've decided that I cannot call myself, any one thing. I'm a storyteller above all, with the, doing the cover art and, the narration and the writing. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm a storyteller. So it doesn't matter what the medium is. If I'm using my voice to, bring characters to life, or if I'm trying to create the perfect image that's going to distill down all of a full novel, into a book cover. I still have to tell a good cohesive story with visual elements. Or if I'm, actually physically writing a novel, that's what I get to tell people that I am now. I'm a storyteller.
So in writing the space opera, was there any aspect that you got to it and you were like, wow, and it just grabbed onto you in the middle of the story and you found yourself being dragged along by some type of plot element in it?
Yeah, but it was the character interactions that I found I would have to cut back on because it would just like run off the rails. They'd like, shut up. So I think that more because I have some pretty colorful characters in the story, and it's easy to get carried away with them and the interactions between them, especially between Delilah and Lena. And more so with book 2, like that'll be interesting to see how that goes over, but no spoilers.
I've noticed with a lot of colorful characters that they have quirks that make them stand out from everybody else. Other than you said that a character quirk is one of the things that started this particular idea in your head. When you're coming up with the other characters, how do you figure out what kind of character quirks you'd like to give them?
Well, I thought a lot about backstories, like where I thought maybe they came from. Lena, her backstory is the only one that is really gone into in much detail within the story. Lena and Lila, they're kind of the focus of this particular book. So I've had to give a lot of thought to backstories of the other characters, and that has informed maybe how they interact with other people, what they say, what they don't say, because a lot of times that's more important than the actual dialogue that comes across. Like there's some scenes with my she's the person that is in charge, but she doesn't like to be called captain. It's not really gone into in the book, but it has something to do with her past. And I have like notes written about, why that might be. And there's some episodes with her where she just kind of fades away into memory, and Lena knows to back off, because if she tries to engage with her in any way, it could set her off, set off her anger in just a heartbeat, with one wrong word. So yeah, I've had to give some thought to the backstory, and that informs a lot more of how those character quirks come across.
Sorry, I'm having technical issues. My mic is continually trying to find the floor. I think the cats have started an anti-gravity, or actually a gravity machine over here.
Maybe I just can't take it anymore.
Yeah, something like that. We're tired of you talking during nap time.
Do you have any pets on your ship?
No pets on my ship, no.
I thought about adding a cat to one of my stories, just on general principles.
Well, they have one in Alien.
So there's one story involving a pet within Make Bright the Arrows, and it's a nod at Silverado, actually. So it's funny to see if people will pick up on that or not. But there's a story about a cat, but no actual pets, not pests. None of those either, but no actual pets on the Nancy.
Terry, explain this to me. What is this cat going to do?
I haven't got the slightest idea.
Well, on a cargo freighter, I could see a cat being there because there's always chance rats and mice are going to come aboard.
I've already introduced the cat in the Liberty Station series. It's not real. It's mechanical. It's an electronic manufactured cat from a civilization that they don't even know where it came from. So it's going to be a plot element that behaves like a cat.
Oh, dear God. Speaking of Starla, did you plant any landmines in this first story for sequels and whatnot?
Define landmine. Plot threads, yes.
Okay, so unresolved little plot bunnies that are just supposed to go, oh, that's interesting. Moving on.
Yeah, there's a couple of those. One specifically is in my writing in book 2. I've sort of picked up one of the little threads that I toss out, but the intention is for that little thread to eventually, like a pipe dream of mine is to have a little short story anthology of like backstories and things like that. And that particular little plot thread has been a story in my head for a while. So I probably won't go over it in great detail in book 2, but it is mentioned. So, but there's definitely some plot threads that I pick up in book 2 that kind of get dropped along the way in book 1 and intentionally dropped. But yeah.
So do you have a plan for how many books are going to be in this series, or is it just you're gonna let it grow and write as many as you think you need to write?
Well, right now I just have the 2 that I have solid ideas for. I may get to the end of book 2 and be like, okay, so I didn't get to this and this, so I guess we'll do more. But yeah, I have a pretty solid idea of where book 2 is going to end up, and that might be it. But we'll see. Oh no. I can't predict the future because I have all these other projects that are, poking at my brain now and be like, okay, maybe we should do this for a while. And
yeah,
really unhelpful.
Yeah, then it goes 3 years before you put the next book out in that series. Yeah. Terry doesn't have that problem. I don't have that problem. Nobody has that problem. That'd be too easy. So you basically decided, hey, I want a Firefly-like story, and nobody's writing them, so I'm going to write one.
Well, actually, what I really wanted to see was something like Silverado with all women. Yeah. Because there's like 3... Basically, it's 3 female characters in Silverado that have any sort of substance to them, and they are victims, they are prizes to be won, and they're bargaining chips. That's it. And I wanted to see something that was not that. And so it's not that, there are no male characters in Make Bright the Arrows. There are some, but they're peripheral. And that was just the nature of the story. It was just what ended up getting told. So, yeah. So yeah, definitely more inspired by Silverado than, yeah.
This is in a way a kick-ass female story, kick-ass female heroine story. And the reason that comes to mind is because I'm a member of SIFA and we're putting together a bundle for kick-ass females in fantasy. It's always interesting that I, as a guy, end up writing mostly female protagonists. Mm-hmm. And I've never understood exactly how that works out. Is there a gender of protagonist that you prefer?
Well, I've written both. And it doesn't, I don't know. I like to let the story kind of define who needs to be telling it. So for me, I'm not necessarily telling a story about a bunch of kick-ass women, which they are, but it's just telling a good story, which I think is the key there. And it's something everybody can enjoy. It doesn't matter, how you identify. It's just a fun story.
Sure. Didn't mean anything else by it.
No.
Curious.
No, not at all. But no, I do write primarily from the female perspective. It's just kind of where I'm comfortable. But yeah, like I said, I've done from both. So, it's not that I can or can't or, make a conscious choice. It's just the ideas that, spark the whole project. So.
Well, I'm really liking the interplay, between the characters, and as I said, I'm only about halfway through it. But the way they react to one another, the gestures, some of those people just by listening to them talk, or like you said, what they don't say. And I can't remember the name of the character. I apologize, but the one who doesn't seem to talk much at all.
Oh, Vera.
Yeah, Vera, who's on the ship, and. Our main character doesn't really know what to make of her. It's been crewing with her for a long time and still doesn't quite understand her at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I like that because, those people, you work with them sometimes. They're just so closed off that, every once in a while they'll come out and say something is just incredibly witty, but then they won't talk again for 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, so she felt a lot like I kept comparing her in my head to like Silent Bob or Stanley on The Office.
Yeah. The same kind of character, only it's just a completely different feel to it. But then she reacts to the child completely differently.
Mm-hmm. And that's definitely, I've been exploring that a lot more in the second one, because the second one is dual POV. It's being told from two different perspectives. I can't talk about this one too much because I have no idea when I'm going to be finished with it. But so that was, and part of, I kept that in, and I'm glad you brought that one up because I had, a couple people have read it before I, put it out and everything, and they remarked on how there wasn't very much of Vera. You could always talk about, killing your darlings and getting rid of things you don't need. Well, in my mind, Vera was something I definitely needed, especially because of what I have planned. But so I'm glad that I made that decision to just listen to myself and keep her. Glad you brought it up.
So with book one, if I remember correctly, you said this was a first-person point of view story.
Mm-hmm.
If there's 2 point of views in the second book, are you still sticking with first person or are you moving to third?
Yes, I am still sticking with first person because their voices are very different.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Very different.
Mm-hmm. Very, very, very different.
So because I'm listening to the book and you're using accents,
mm-hmm.
are you actually using like going instead of going?
Yeah, if you look in the book, like it's actually a lot of it is written kind of where I'm dropping the G's on the gerunds, and it's just an apostrophe at the end. Yeah, because I very specifically want. I figure it's all or nothing. Because if you only go halfway, some people are gonna, they're not gonna either get it or it's just not going to come through. So I was like, what? If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it all the way. Go big or go home. So I leaned into that voice very, very heavily. So yeah, it's actually spelled, like going. GOIN apostrophe instead of, with a G, because I wanted them to hear the story very specifically in Lena's voice, which hopefully it doesn't annoy too many people with my spelling choices.
Well, I think we're both blessed and cursed by being when we're audiobook narrators, because when we're writing, we hear the voice of these folks, and so when we get a chance to actually give them life, breathe life into them, we know how they talk. And so while you're writing, that stuff tends to kind of creep in here and there about exactly how they sound, depending. But I kind of shy away from doing that. So I was just wondering if you had done that or not.
Yeah, I was when I first wrote it, I didn't have as much, like the first draft wasn't as much with the language affectation. But it just felt like I wasn't making any choices. So yeah, I went on my multiple passes through it. As I went, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to own it. This is who she is. And yeah, so yeah, it was a very, very specific choice that I made, especially in writing the prose and stuff.
Well, one thing it makes much more striking is the difference between how she talks and everyone else talks. Mm-hmm. Her choice of words is more limited than that of the folks who are engineers or lead the ship or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's a very, I caught on to that pretty early on and was like, okay, So I found the voice very, very engaging. All the accents are top notch, and narration is just wonderful. So I think you really hit it out of the park with this one.
Oh, thank you. And that's high praise. I appreciate it.
What do you think, Terry? Add her to your audiobook library along with the other 400,000 things you're listening to.
I probably will. It's just a matter of finding time to listen to anything. I have probably close to 250 audio titles, and I'm at least 200 behind. And it's getting worse every single day as I see it and I go, ooh, I got to have that pretty. With I imagine your spell checker screamed at you with doing the specific things you were doing.
Yeah, it's just like red for days. All the squiggly lines. But yeah, so I've kind of trained my spell check, like ignore, and eventually it's kind of caught on. And like now I can't type anything without my phone or wanting to autocorrect to dropping those G's and with the apostrophe. I'm like, no, we're not writing fiction. I'm trying to make a Facebook post.
It's almost like we need to be able to load different dictionaries. This is my southern dictionary. This is my technical dictionary. You need to load that before it, just so the machine knows what you're writing and how to react to it.
Yeah, and every time I go to write the word talk, it wants to autocorrect to y'all, and that is super weird.
Wait, I've seen that before. I wonder why.
Well, I mean, granted, I'll drop a y'all every now and then, but in my actual speech. But yeah, it's weird that I've written it so much now that autocorrect is like, oh, talk? No, you mean y'all, right? No, different words.
So you're working on book 2. Do you look beyond the current work and say, what's coming next? Or is this you're just totally focused on the one you're writing and whatever's next is going to happen when you're done?
I would like to say I was totally focused, but because I have to juggle so many hats between the narration and the designing and the writing, maintaining focus is not super easy. And I get caught up in shiny new things all the time. We're not going to talk about the project that I had an idea for the other days. That's just like has now become the other one that I'm poking at kind of a little bit every now and then. But we're not going to talk about that one.
We're not going to talk about any of that.
Yeah, I'm super frustrated that was even a thought that occurred to me. But
I think in the past week and a half, I've had the idea for 3 or 4 different short stories and 3 new novels. So it's just like, you just want to shoot their eyes out because you're just tired of it.
How far are you going to get in that before Sue just hangs you?
That's a really good question. How far am I going to get into it for my readers hang me for abandoning this, that, or the other, the book they want me to write next, as opposed to the one I'm chasing at that moment? That's kind of a problem. You ever get that, Starla?
Oh yeah.
Where's the
Nobilis? Yeah, Nobilis is still asking me for the 4th book in the Endure series, and that's probably not ever going to happen. Sorry.
Nah. So
abandoning a series is hard.
Yeah, we have that issue. Terry wants to do space opera forever. The Empire of Bones is never going to end. It's going to end. It'll end sometime after they have freeze-dried his brain. That may be the last, and I'm not even going to guarantee it'll end then. I like to try and write more concise and actually have an end for the series in mind at some point. So I have a finite number of books. Bozo there or I should call him Zeus or Santa, whatever you want to call him, curmudgeonly Santa, has the exact opposite approach. He doesn't want to ever end. He just wants to keep going until these characters, go off into infinity.
It's not that I want to keep doing it. It's as I write, the possibility tree just keeps branching. I've got a list of plot bunnies that I've dropped into these novels that covers 4 or 5 pages. Most of them I'll never come back to, but the universe just gets bigger and the character cast just keeps growing. So yeah, the ending of this particular series is so far off that I can't see the end of it.
That's a great problem to have, though. I've never ever had that problem, but I can imagine that would be, to just have just be that all encompassed by this one universe like that. That's kind of amazing. I'm
wrapping up book 9 in it now, and I can easily see doubling that number without actually getting to the end of the main plot that they're fighting right now. And I already know what's coming after that. It's not the end. So yeah, this has got a long way to go.
Terry's readers hate him. Absolutely.
They loathe me.
Yeah, they loathe you. I think I'm loathed more, but still. So in with your books, do you have a definitive end to the series in mind before you start them? Do you even know if it's going to be a series when you start them?
That tends to vary. It depends on the idea. There are some that I have set out knowing that it was just a one-off, like My Christmas Romance, or there's been a couple of other ones that are just like, oh, this is just one. But my high fantasy, I had only, actually with my Jennifer Flipped Fairy Tales, I had only intended that to be one book, and I ended up putting out 5. So, it's a crapshoot.
Okay, fair enough. I often don't know that they're going to be series when they start either. I find that out somewhere in the middle of the first book and then go, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Look what I've done. This was supposed to be just an easy 90,000 words. That's it.
Yeah, with the Evolution series, I know where I wanted, the first thing that I had was the ending of book 1. I knew exactly, I just had this flash of this scene, and then I started asking myself, where, how did they get to this point? Where do they go from there? And it just kind of grew from there, and that turned into a full trilogy. But see, I didn't necessarily know that was going to be that many books. I thought maybe 2, but it became 3 with the world potential for more. Yeah. So yeah, I never know fully when I start out. I might have an idea, but
Paul, as much as you talk about things with endings, have you ever written a standalone novel? It's just one book and goes nowhere else?
So far, Closet Treats, Tattoo, Mimes, Lamash 2.
But aren't a bunch of those tied together?
Yeah, sort of. They have repeat characters with cameos. Standalone. No, I guess I haven't.
Yep.
Whoa.
I can't imagine how I would go about doing that. Every time I start thinking of a story, it's a series idea. And I suppose it's because that's what I like reading. I like reading series. I like reading book after book where I can just keep going back to the characters that I love to read about. And so that influences the way as well.
Yeah, that was usually that's kind of how I am, but there have been a couple ideas that I've had that they're kind of they're quieter ideas, I guess. Actually the book that has surprised me and did amazingly well, in sales through no action of my own. It was a YA contemporary romance, and it was a one-shot, just a novel that I put out. It's this is completely out of my normal wheelhouse. It's not spec fic in any way, but it's very loud in my head, so I'm just going to get it out and throw it out there, and we'll see what happens. And it really did well and surprised the heck out of me, and I really wish that I could make it a series, but it was just a one and done, and that's all it was. But yeah, usually that's not how my brain will operate. I can envision, these great sweeping story arcs that carry over for, 2-3 books, or 4. But yeah, so standalone novels are interesting prospects. Like I had my suspense, my revenge novel was all that same way. It was just it was a smaller idea, not less important, just smaller in scope, and more concentrated in looking at specific characters and a very specific point in their lives.
Romance tends to lend itself more to a standalone novel.
Yeah,
but I do have a quarter of a romance novel written that one day I intend to come back because I want to know what happens.
Well, that's the best kind of story, is that you want to know what happens. And that used to be me. It's like, I have to see how this ends. It's like, I've got works in progress that, I'll go and I'll start reading. It's like, I'm going to work on this. And I'll go back and I'll start reading them from the beginning, and I'll get to the point where I stopped and it's like, where's the rest? And I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't done it yet. I haven't finished it.
So just before we start wrapping up here, you have your own publishing company, correct?
Sort of. I have my own LLC that it's an umbrella over everything. Everything I do with, the design and the narration and the writing. So sort of.
You're also published by someone else as well.
Not really. No, I did a short story for the Tales from the Archives. So for
T and Pip,
yeah. And I did one for Alex White for his Gearhart stuff. Feel like there's something else I'm forgetting. But yeah, I think that's it. Mostly I'm greedy and I like to keep my own stuff. Like
how
it's mine, my precious.
How dare you?
About co-writing with someone, I've been involved with writing with one other author, and it's been an interesting process.
That is something that I would like to do, but I haven't found the right person or story to do that at this point. Yeah, it's not that I don't work well with others; it's that I tend to take over things. Be like, oh, we should do this and this. I was that person that worked on when you were in school, and is the person that would just kind of take over and do everything because they wanted it done right. So that's kind of me. So I don't know if I'm ever going to find that person, but I
have to find somebody who's going to put up with my control issues first.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I think that would be my problem too. It's why I haven't done it.
Yeah, it's about being on the same page. Not just like mentally, but like creatively as well. And like finding those perfect matches that seems like I know people that have done it and that do it very successfully, but I don't know that I could. I'd be up for trying, but
be up for trying.
The way that it works for me is he outlines what the story is going to be in very vague terms, very generic terms. Then he'll write the first quarter of the book and he'll write the last quarter of the book. So in the middle, I get handed where he leaves it off, and I end up totally diverging away from where the outline goes and have to figure out how to drag the story back to where he's picking it up. I'm sure I drive him crazy.
I'm sure you do drive him crazy. I mean, I have to put up with your curmudgeonly self every week.
I'm much nicer to him, though.
I imagine so. I've just, got battered co-host syndrome or something. Something like that. He mentally browbeats me, but nobody's watching. That's not true. The patrons get to see it. Anyway.
They keep writing me saying, do it more. Do it more.
Somehow I don't doubt that, because you're just that kind of jerk. Just that kind of jerk. Well, Starla, the new book is called Make Bright the Arrows.
Yes.
Where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Starla Huchton. You can find me on Facebook. I have an author page and a design page. I think it's covers designed by Starla. Is like in the URL, and then the Starla Huchton author page, I think is the other one. I have a website, starlahuchton.com. I'm on Twitter at Starla Huchton. So if it's Starla Huchton, I'm there, basically. Yeah, I think that's it.
What are you trying to make things easy for people to find you? What kind of person are you?
Yeah, super easy. Oh, my website for my design stuff is designedbystarla.com. Ding.
Yes, ding. I don't have my bell with me. Damn. I just sent us a bell and I'm always forgetting it.
Oh, and if people want to hire me to read words into a microphone, I'm on ACX and on Findaway and with Day and Audio, I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm everywhere.
Oh, my Lord. Well, thank you very much for joining us. It's been way too long. As I said, I'm loving the new book. I suggest everybody go out and give it a shot when it comes out in ebook, which it should be out in ebook by now.
August 6th.
Yes, but the Audible, the narration is wonderful. You should go check it out. And again, thank you very much for joining us. And with that, I think we'll start wrapping up the show here. If you've got something that you would like to say about this interview with the wonderful Starla Huchton, you can send us an email at show@debrobotssociety.com. You can tweet me at Paul_E_Cooley. Or you can join the listeners of the Facebook. See, I'm screwing this up already. I was sitting there going, I'm doing so well. Listeners of the Dead Robot Society Facebook group, where way too many people are having way too much fun talking about writing, and stop posting the cat memes, people. They're just not right. Just not right. I know it's all Terry's fault, but still. And you can also see us on youtube.com/DRS podcast if you want to look at our ugly mugs or see Starla's wonderful fire engine ready.
That's just this week.
And of course, you can support us by becoming a Patreon patron, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get access to exclusive shows, live shows, and the entire pre-show that is fit for other people to look at. Which is
wait a minute, we're fit? No, I think there's a mistake.
Yeah, patrons. And at the $10 level, you get your name read. So let me get this out here. Here are our $10 patrons this week. Sue, you're writing what now, Bayman? JD Barker, Kelson Von Deal, Isabel Cushy, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Sandy Manpants, Cheryl Winters, Tracy Bodine, John Kilgallen, Devin Lee, Nathan is out of ideas petty. Dude, get on the stick, man. I need more tongue twisters. Come on. Drew, live from inside a tornado, Bernardi, Chris Winder, Andre Conde Moraes, DJ Chamberlain, and J.R. Handley.
I totally need to name a character Sandy Manpants.
Sandy Manpants? Sandy Manpants. Just sounds shocking. And last but not least, we have to thank our wonderful host, Pod Hoster, who makes all 4 bazillion episodes of the Dead Robot Society available for your ear holes. Starla, thank you again. Terry, take us out, Terry.
Bye, everybody.
That was so freaking lame.
That's me. I'm lame all over.
I set you up for something brilliant, and that's all you got?
I got nothing.
See you next week, folks.